Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome Pedro Serrano, CISO of GRDA here in Oklahoma, and Rachel Arnold, who is the Human API. They're going to be joining me today, and we're going to have a lot of fun talks. Real quick, if you guys want to do a quick intro, Pedro, you want to do a quick intro of yourself and let everyone know where you are, because that's not a fake background.
That's right. Hey, Jonathan, thank you. Thank you, Kim, for having me over. So I am live all the way from Jamaica. I'm in Ocho Rios. Just happen to be on vacation, but I'm committed to this. I love to do these talks. So for work, I am the CISO at the Grand River Dam stations, and we love to provide energy, obviously, to the eastern side of Oklahoma. I chose the virtual this virtual presentation and live because I wanted to show you what truly happens sometimes when you go on vacation, right? So let's have some fun and enjoy this.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, Pedro. And we're going to get more into your background and what you're doing and why you're doing it here in a little bit. But Rachel Arnold, the Human API, go ahead and talk a little bit about who you are and where you're at right now.
Yeah, this is my sunny living room that I have blurred out because I have 3 tiny children that made a little bit of a tornado this morning. My name is Rachel Arnold. I'm the Human API currently with SecureNation. I'm also a board member for my local ISACA chapter here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is what is outside of my living room. And it is not nearly as fabulous as Pedro's setting. I think I've been jealous of his vacation for 4 days now, at least. I also am heavily involved and volunteer with the Innocent Lives Foundation, which is a foundation designed to help bring child predators online to justice. Wonderful organization. If anybody ever wants to go check it out, definitely hit me up and I'll send you all the happy clicky linky things that won't take you to bad places on the internet. I also volunteer as a PAC member for the East Baton Rouge Parish Career Technical and Education Center, which strives to give the youth of the public school systems in East Baton Rouge Parish a leg up by offering different and various degrees, college level degrees, as well as comparable industry certifications, so that by the time they graduate at 17 or 18, they already have a way into their favorite industry. And one of those tracks is IT. So that's why I'm there. Always a pleasure to come hang out with you and Pedro and everybody here that's attending the FutureCon event. And thank you so much, Kim, for inviting us all along.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, I think, when Kim reached out to me and says, hey, we want to get you on this and, let's put a really great panel together. It was almost immediate, thinking of you guys. I think we can do a lot of fun stuff. So thank you both for coming on with me and with us. And, I think we got some great topics, kind of thinking about what you were just saying, Rachel, and what you were saying, Pedro. When we sat down, we got together about a week ago and kind of talked about what we wanted to discuss here. And everything kind of came back to people. Cybersecurity, I have always said that cybersecurity is about people. We protect people, we provide services to people, we defend to people. And I think all 3 of us really, every part of our job is about dealing with the things that affect people. We deal with systems and computers and software and all that, but it always comes back to people. And just because I want to get back to that background, Pedro, I think one of the things about cybersecurity that we have seen over the last year and a half, 2 years is it's been hard. It's been hard to try to keep up. It's been hard being remote, try to defend against the things that are happening, the ransomware and such. So I think we need to talk about, just candidly, what are we seeing? What are you seeing that people are dealing with? And how can we do better? How can we do better as organizations? How can we do better as part of the cybersecurity industry to make sure that we don't hurt ourselves to get burned out or, have bad experiences. Pedro, why don't you give us your thoughts? Muted, Pedro.
Nope.
Still muted, Pedro.
See, this is what happens is when Pedro is trying desperately to make sure that we're not also enjoying the breeze that's coming off of the ocean.
Right. All right, I think he's not muted.
So that's actually what the issue was. I was so concerned about the music and the background that I muted myself, and now I couldn't. But let me tell you something. It's so important. This resort that I'm staying at, one of the things that they did on purpose was up their Wi-Fi presence and their pipeline to the resort, because what they realized was that their customers were demanding better Wi-Fi. The biggest issue was this. Just like I carry two, every person that came in here did the same thing. I am not the first person with a laptop on the beach. There's two more people just down the road with me that are having their laptops on. And it's funny because literally a year ago, this wasn't even an option. Nevertheless, 2 years ago, we always thought, well, you unplugged. And today, the unplug is, well, my 100 emails still come every day. So we just have to deal with it. And it's funny, as leaders, we have to be aware of that, not only because of our own sanity, but those that we serve. So at work, we're making provisions. And so I tell my guys, you're going to go on vacation? Perfect. I support that. And all I ask is once a day, give me 15, 30 minutes, read your email just to make sure that we are still connected. And I know that's sometimes a little different, but we are in different times.
Yeah.
So that's the key.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I can tell you from my personal experience, it's really hard to disconnect. It truly is. I worry. And it's really not so much that I have full faith in my people and, my staff, my IT, but I don't want them to have to go through an outage without me there to help. I mean, it's not so much that they can't do it. It's just, it's hard. And, so I think about that a lot. I've pulled a lot of hours in the last couple of weeks. I pulled 40 hours over this past weekend, or something close to 40 hours just from Friday through Sunday. And, I'm hurting this week, today, and I'm sure tomorrow I'm going to be hurting too, just trying to get caught up. So I understand that, trying to get away, but it's hard. It's hard to pull away and get away from that. And I think that that's really kind of the issue that everyone is seeing, that it is hard, but we need to take care of ourselves. Rachel, what have you been seeing? I know you've got a kind of a unique perspective of interacting with a lot of IT people all around the country, and during good times and bad times. What are you seeing?
A lot of the pressures, are very similar to yours and Pedro's, right? There's this incessant nagging need to constantly be connected because what if, just in case, oh no, kind of thing. And it's not because you don't have teams that you can trust. It's just you're also so passionate about what it is that you're doing that unplugging is almost impossible, right? How are you supposed to pull your heart out of something? The biggest thing that I've noticed a big difference on is with the work from home environment. And I know, Jonathan, you do go back and forth to the office still, and Pedro, you too, but so many don't have to anymore. And at first we were all like kids in a candy store, right? That we're going work from home. And very slowly and steadily, we're starting to realize that just the physical drive into work, whether it was 10 minutes or 30 or an hour or however long your commute was so much just you time that you had And a lot of people find driving relaxing. Sorry if you don't live in a situation where, I've heard LA can be scary. But it was a time, it was like a physical barrier from one to the other. And it gave your mind time to kind of, decompress from the day or to gear up for the day and work through, some of those things that were coming. And a lot of people, they try very hard to still kind of mimic that. I've heard of some tips and tricks like, take a walk or take a bike ride just around your block, just for 5 minutes, whatever it is, and then sit down to go to work. But there's so many of us that are already not taking care of ourselves. I mean, one of the biggest reasons I see that people get into the industry is because of their love of technology. And a lot of the very deeply passionate people are also very concerned with the human beings that utilize that technology. So if all you're thinking about all day long is how to protect other people, others all the time, you lose yourself so quickly in all of that. And it's really important to make that time just for yourself, either at the beginning or the end, or if you're blessed enough, both, just to switch gears, because so many of us are not just information security professionals. We're parents and spouses, and, we're somebody's kid that needs us, even when we get done with our day. Or, I have a lot of volunteering things that I do, and I have to actually physically put the time on my calendar to make sure that I'm switching from one mindset to the other. I have it blocked off. Family time is sacred and family time, and I still screw it up. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, no, I've been taking some night classes for a particular license that I'm working on. And I was talking to the instructor kind of in the class, and he asked me, basically, how much sleep do I get? I was like, well, not a whole lot. And he asked me, why? And I was like, well, I really try hard not to take time away from my kids and my family or my wife. So that 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, is really, I try to make it about them. But then I still have stuff to do. So I work until 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning getting that stuff done. But it really is important to me to not take that time away. What little time I do have with the kids when I'm back home and with my wife, I try to make sure that is special to them, and I think that that's a balance. It means a lot less sleep for me, but I'm a CISO. We don't sleep. So that's just part of the job.
I like it. You're a CISO and you don't sleep, so.
I like that.
So are we becoming more efficient, or are we just getting busier? Because if all it is just I'm busy and I'm just spinning cycles, then we're wasting our time. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
I think personally, during the last literally year and a half now, 2 years, I have become more focused. I have become more systematic. I mean, literally, when I go into a task mode, there is no distractions. I'm on task, and I got to get it done, and I move to the next. The old concept of the water cooler talk, just to have a conversation about nothing, in my life disappeared. I'm either working on something or I'm not going to work on anything. The example is here. I mean, I'm doing this, and I'm here, and actually put a shirt just for you guys.
Oh, thanks, Pedro. But how important is some of that water cooler talk that we miss out on, right? Like, the whole reason why I wanted to start the live stream was because I started attending conferences, and then suddenly we weren't going to any conferences. And I do enjoy the speakers. I enjoy the education piece of it. But what I really love is just the random interaction with people in the hallway while you're waiting for somebody else to come on and present. There's such a, just a serendipitous upspringing of ideas that happen whenever you get people together and they're not all gathered based on their title. Like
So-
you get all these different perspectives from across the nation and everything else. And that was, I missed it. So I started doing it. And then I thought, well, maybe more people miss it. And, we got some regulars for coffee. So I think more people are missing it too, but to also be able to just shut out everything else and focus solely on that. Like nobody can come by your office and get you off task or throw you off track or that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I think that human connection is still super needed.
It makes me wonder if what we have been talking about this morning is all about having a balance, because I think that's part of the issue. I think we got off kilter somewhere, somehow, and we became sort of a work, no play. Thoughts?
I would agree with that. And I'll tell you an interesting conversation I had yesterday is someone asked me if I won the lottery and I didn't have to work ever again, what would I do? If I had millions of dollars and the two things that really popped into my head was I would teach cyber defense all day long.
Yep.
I would teach karate in the evenings. That's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy working with people, interacting with people, teaching them, how to protect themselves in cybersecurity and helping protect them. But I also like the karate side because we do the same thing, helping people get better, get stronger, get more flexible, learn how to defend themselves. So, and he felt like it was kind of a strange answer since I'm a CISO and it's a hard job. But if I had all the money in the world, I'd still want to do it. And I think that that's what a lot of people have. You said earlier, Rachel, it's a passion. People want to do this job. And unfortunately, it can be very, very stressful and very, very hectic. But I think people still want to, and that's why they put so much time into it, is because they love it. On the inside of on my ring here, it says to protect and defend, and it's to remind me that's what I do as a CISO. So I think that I think it was lost, Pedro, but I think it's because we get so passionate about it, we want to do it so well that you just dive into it. Anything you dive into, anything. I mean, there's a particular cake that my wife makes that I love, and she made like a 9x9, sheet pan of it. And I go, okay, well, I don't know what you guys are going to eat. I'm going to take that. I could eat every bit of it in one sitting, and it's not the best for me, and I know that, but you still, when you love something, you just dive into it. So, I agree. But I do like the balance. It really, Pedro, you made me think about it differently, because when we talk about getting away, when we talk about detaching or unplugging, I've always resisted that. And it wasn't that I didn't think it was a good idea. I think it's a great idea. And I think I should do it more. My wife definitely thinks I should do it more.
I bet.
But the reality is, when I do that, I have 10 times more problems when I come back to work. And I think all of us know that. Mm-hmm. But having the balance, Pedro, of what you did, where you says, hey, I am going to go, but I am going to take this hour and I'm going to go through my emails and I'm going to make sure there's nothing on fire that I need to deal with. And things will happen, and things, you have to fix them and delegate and whatever. But I really like that. I had never kind of put that together, that, maybe I can, with the right planning, actually go on. I could go down and see Rachel, go down. But in the beginning of the day, I check my email, make sure everything's okay. Then we go out and we have a good time. And then I check again at the end of the day. I think it really is about that balance. I mean, what do you guys think? Personally, from a personal level, is it less about unplugging and more about making sure you find that right balance?
I think a big key to finding that right balance is being able to delegate and trust the people to be able to answer their own questions too.
Yep.
And I know that you guys both do that for your teams. I know that already, but there are so many of us out there that just, the nature of the business is don't trust anything.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's funny that you said that, because I remember my one of the guys that works for me, I told him, I said, look, here's my personal cell phone. If you reach out to me in this number, I don't care where I am. I could be having another mani pedi, and I'm still going to answer the phone, right? And it was funny. His answer, he goes, "No, I'm not calling you. We're gonna handle it, boss. Chill.
Yep.
I'll send you an email after the fact. Yes, you're gonna know what's going on, but the reality is, you have given us the opportunity. You have trained us so that we can handle the emergencies." And I was taken by that, because I was like, what? I'm not needed? You know, that's the first thought. I'm not needed. And he was like, no, you're needed, but I need you to chill. That's what I needed you to do.
Did you have a little tear form in the corner of your eye and you were like, my baby birds are flying from the nest?
Yeah. And then I remember this and I said, yeah, I need to go.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I mean, for instance, you know, I'm going to be out in Tucson next week, and our support for our family here is also on vacation, so it leaves Josh in charge by himself, which he can do that, right? But like, to do that and do the work from home situation and navigate, you know, kid pickup and dinner and breakfast and, you know, all that stuff. And he put in a request to take a few days off. He was like, I have some vacation, I might as well use it.
Yeah.
And he was concerned, because he was like, it's really short notice, I don't know if they're going to approve it. And his manager messaged him back and he was like, you're not really asking, you know. Josh told him, thanks for approving that. And he was like, why are you thanking me? It's your time, you use it. And then he had to explain, he was like, you know, well, in America, asking for time off as an employee that has time to request off, you feel like you are asking for a favor. It's not something that's just, this is your time off. And as long as you are a person that has enabled the people around you to be responsible for some of your tasks while you're gone, you're fine. Take some time off, kind of thing. And I think that's really important. And then it also goes into the whole, you know, work from home has opened up a lot of opportunities for cybersecurity teams in general, especially the ones that were, you know, screaming out for help a few years ago. We can't find anybody. We don't know how to find the people to hire or anything else. Now they suddenly have approvals to add members to their team from a work from home environment. So now they don't have to look for somebody that's only an hour drive commute, you know, or worry about having to give somebody a moving package, right? A relocation package at the same time. Because, and if you are hiring out of one of these major cities that have a very different pay scale than, say, I don't know, the middle of nowhere, Louisiana, right? Like you're just boosting an economy from one state to the other. Because that's empowering suddenly. And there's a lot of things that will probably come out of that situation that are good and bad. But I think it's wonderful that the talent pool has opened up so much. It's almost like before, none of the hiring managers or team leads knew where to find the people, and now there's so many options. They're almost inundated with opportunities to hire new people. It's crazy how fast that opened up.
And, you know, that leads into a really good next question. Then I do encourage you, anybody in the audience, if you have questions for any of us, please throw it in the chat. We'll work it in. But I have a question for both of you. You know, Pedro, from your side and from being a CISO and working, you know, hiring staff, and then Rachel, just the massive amounts of people that you know and interact with on a daily basis. What are some of the good things you're seeing right now from companies in terms of attracting people and bringing people in to do those jobs? What do you think are some of the good things that are happening right now because of the changes after COVID?
I can tell you a couple of things that has happened in my industry. Very conservative, is training has become a huge attractor I mean, anytime I mention I need money for training because the new threats that are out there are different, the executive staff understands that. I don't have to explain about ransomware. They read it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
So it truly is helping me get a better candidate, get more candidates. And then let me say this black and white. I could pay them more because now I can justify the reasoning why. So if I find a candidate that has the ability, the personality, the know-how, I mean, that really fills all the blocks, I have a leg to stand on that says, I am going to ask for more money because this guy or gal is worth it.
Yeah.
5 years ago, that was hard. You know this. We had to go fight for this.
Yep.
Today, they just look at me and say, are they as good as it sounds? And I go, yep. And they go, move on.
Well, and that opens up something else, you know, just leading to I mean, yeah, now the hiring pool is bigger, right? Now it's like the hiring ocean. Ocean, Pedro. Anywho, but the competition is stiff, and it's not just for the candidates, right? Like you're not just competing for their buy-in to come and join your team, but once they're in that position, like we're doing a flip, right? Because the company to employee loyalty, right? Once we lost lost pensions and then went to 401k, company jumping was fine, right? You can just take it with you. If they're not going to invest in my retirement and I can take it somewhere else, bye. If I don't like it, right? Well, now it's even worse because some of them aren't even offering 401k, or it's just, it's self-managed situation. So I think the environments and the attitudes and the whole company culture situation is going to have to get a lot more employee focused. I mean, not just, if you're a B2B, right, or, direct to the public and you have customers, the way you treat your customers or your B2Bs is going to have to be the way that you also come at your employees, because they don't have to stay there.
That really leads into something. I just thought about it. This is kind of a thing back now, right in the .com era of marketing to new employees as you would to new customers. Hey, think about it. When I was in college and right after it was the .NET era, it was, you think about Silicon Valley and all these areas that had the sleep pods and they had the games in the room or in the office areas. It was an opportunity to really market to new employees coming in. I know that's kind of fallen out of favor, and I understand that, but it's a really interesting concept of what do you think would an organization need to really market to cybersecurity individuals to come in? I like the idea of the training, Pedro. I am a huge proponent of training. I require my staff to do a one major training a year and get the certification from it, and one major conference a year. They have to do that to stay employed here, because I want them out there. I want them learning. And that first year they were like, oh, this kind of sucked. The second year they were coming to me, it's like, hey, I want to do this training this year.
Yeah.
and I want to do this one next year. Can I do it? They love it. Yeah. And I've got some really good security analysts because I think that they really appreciate that I'm willing to throw, those resources in for them to get better. So what are some things that you would like to see from organizations, or you see that right now that are being successful in drawing them in? You've got the training, you've got the hopefully work-life balance, but what else?
I think go ahead, Pedro. I'm gonna let Pedro go first.
What I was going to say is I was able to put in my budget a specific amount of money per individual for training.
Yep.
And I did it. I inflated the price a little because I said, look, I want to put $10,000 for each one of my guys.
Yep.
And I know that in some shops, you guys are probably looking at me on TV going, dude, that's my whole budget for everybody.
Yeah,
here. I get it. I get it. I get it. But here's what I did. What I did is I planted the seed into the budget cycle. I planted the seed into my executive staff because here's what they ask. Why? $10,000.
Yep.
What? And then it opened the door for me to say, oh, but hold on. Here's how much the SAN courses cost, or here's how much the certification cost. And then they were able to see black and white. Oh, so yeah, you asked for 10, but the reality is you're going to spend 5 for real. And I said, yeah, because any cert that you're going to end up with, you're going to end up with $5,000. And so all of a sudden the willingness was there.
Yeah.
Because they saw the cost at the end of the table.
Yeah.
I think go ahead.
I do the same thing. I do about 10,000 per person. And, you know, one of my requirements is they have to do the training and pass the test. They go to the conference and they bring information back and teach it to all of us in the group. You know, it's just, and the thing about it is it helps reinforce the growth and the getting better and learning new things. I mean, we're higher education. And so we don't have any money, but I made it a priority that training, because people are, I feel like, one of our greatest resources. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, they had everything that they could to be able to understand cybersecurity and learn and grow and get back in the community. So yeah, I do the same thing, Pedro.
I think one of the big things that could really, specific to cybersecurity, right, and information security, is if companies would understand that we're missing a very fundamental step in the process, right? If you want to go be a carpenter, an electrician, a plumber, there's always that apprenticeship level that happens first, where you may not be paid the full amount as an experienced tradesperson, but you get to run alongside. You are paid and respected for the work and the effort and the learning that you put in. I'm so glad that Pedro ordered himself a drink and didn't think about the rest of us. Thanks, Pedro. But that internship level, if we could get HR and recruiters and everyone else to make that more apparent in cybersecurity, these Discord channels, you guys, that I am sitting in have literally thousands of people going, look, you know, go through the LinkedIn content. It's all geared towards, how do I break in? How do I get my foot in the door? What should my resume look like? How do I pump up my profile so that it hits more recruiting sites? I'm telling you right now, just a simple addition of the word intern or apprenticeship into that intern security analyst role, you will be drowning in applicants. Okay. Yeah. And then reaching out and getting more involved in your community, right, with the higher education, with the technical colleges, with the community colleges. You know, we're doing that event next week out of Tucson from a community college. I love having Will as a co-host on my show because they stood up an entire program just to give the general public the opportunity to come and poke at things and try it out instead of, you know, trying to learn how to be a red team or a blue team from, you know, Reddit threads, right? Or some other board. And with real mentorship too, that's not going to necessarily, like, you have no idea who those people are on Reddit, right? It's the internet. Right. Like, you don't know if they're steering you in the right direction or if they're secretly teaching you how to defuse bombs. You have no idea. Right. So I think we're really missing that piece. And for whatever company, pick it up, take it with you. If you go back to your HR department, you're like, I need to phrase this requisite a little different. Yep. And then you don't have to hire them in at, you know, 70 to 110K or whatever, depending on what part of the nation you're in. Do you know how many people coming out of college or just interested in trying it out would happily pick up a job for 45K? They would think they hit the lottery and they get experience on it. Yep. That is serious. And then if you use those other pieces, you know, to create a positive company culture that is geared towards trying to retain those people, they're not just going to take your internship and then jump ship. They're going to stay with you, and they're going to be so passionate that you gave them the opportunity. They're going to sing your praises from here to the ends of the universe.
Yep. No, I think that's great. And being higher education, that's one of the things that really hits home with me. I deal a lot with students. And when I was help desk, I had a lot of students come to me and told me, it's like, listen, I'm getting a music degree. I don't know how I'm going to make a living with that. I want to work at the help desk to get the skill set because I love music. I had this one, she was a great technician. She says, I will never make any money playing the piano, but I love it. So I need a skill set so I can make money so that I can do what I love. It's like, hey, absolutely. And she's still, she's doing a great job at the company in Bartlesville. She's still doing what she loves. So I think that sort of stuff is great. But I also we had a question about, what is a typical morning briefing and a huddle of a CISO? And I know they want the question answered, but what I liked about it is they said, I'm an aspiring CISO. And I think that is one of the things that we also miss because, so I do a CISO mentorship once a month, a class for our local ISSA chapter where I bring in people. And so one was about the CIS controls. The past one was a CISO's relationship to legal counsel, and a CISO's relationship to law enforcement is next month. So it's how do you be a CISO? And I want to help people grow in this art, in the cybersecurity, and grow into. You take the entry level person that was an intern and now they're entry level, give them 2 years, and hey, let's start working them into being a leader and a director and a CISO. So with that said, I want to answer this question because I want to answer the question, but then I want to talk about the aspiring CISO because I want to get your guys' opinions on this. So what is a typical morning briefing and huddle of a CISO? I'll start it off real quick because I do this every single morning. It started with COVID, but we get on and we talk about, we have a 2-hour time frame that is available to us. We don't use the whole thing, but it's available. We can jump on and kind of talk and chat. But you know what? I always ask, hey, what happened overnight? What are the logs saying? And, ATP, what's the tickets look like? Any issues coming up? The other thing I ask for is what's happening out in the world. There's all kinds of podcasts that I listen to on the drive in the morning that gives me the daily cybersecurity news, the top 5 or 6. And I hear it and I go, oh, I need to go look at that. So I get in and I talk to my staff. It's like, hey, what are you guys seeing? Here's this new 0 day that came out. What about this? So that's kind of what it is for me. Pedro, what's it like for you for your morning huddle?
So I take a different approach. I do my podcast at the end of the day as I drive home as my way to sort of unwind.
Yep.
But in the mornings, one of the things that I learned many years ago is I go through my list of things that are completely critical that I have to get done. Now, one of the things that I try to do is in my environment, we have a daily report of things that happened the night before. So I'm able to review that, take a look. But to address this part of the becoming of a CISO part, the important part for me is that this piece that says, remember, Jonathan, you and I sort of live this. We are this dual person that worries about the technical side and the managerial side. And I'm just going to tell you, there are days that it sucks because I want to do the best technical piece that I can. But the reality is I have to look at a budget. I have to look at what works. And then above all, I can't just say, well, I'm going to implement a policy when I know that me as a user, as individually, I cannot even support it because it's going to suck for me, right?
Right.
So that's the duality of this.
Yep. No, I agree. And I think that's one of the things people don't really realize when you're a CISO of a smaller organization, and maybe not even necessarily smaller, depending on how big your time, you do have to split your time of doing technical pieces plus doing the strategic and the management pieces. Rachel, so I'm going to pose this question to you because I kind of know your backgrounds.
Yeah.
But I really kind of think of you as an honorary CISO. I mean, you deal with a lot of CISOs. You know the problems they run into. You run into those same problems because you're helping organizations all the time. What do you see, of that typical? What do you think when you're thinking about a CISO huddle and things that the CISOs think about? Just at the beginning of the day, here we go. This is what we got to do.
It's a lot of everything that's been covered, right? I feel like the CISOs that look more calm and seem to have a better handle on things typically do run a very regular huddle with their team. The ones that seem like they're constantly running around without their heads, like chickens without their heads, right? It's are the ones that miss those opportunities to designate time for the team to gather together. I've been privy to some of those huddles in the past, and generally it starts off with a recap of the day before. Some like to throw in something wonderful that happened, something not so great, if something not so great happened, or different ways that they noticed maybe there were some efficiency gaps, but they're not always talking at the team. It's definitely the way that they phrase things and open up for discussion, and even sometimes pull in some of the more introverted team members that just like to turn their cameras and their mics off and never say anything. It's kind of another thing is great is just jot down a couple of notes about what you hope to cover before the huddles, and that way your team has time to kind of think about it, process, and they don't feel as on the spot or called out whenever the meeting does begin. That's also seemed very helpful. Having flexible meeting times too is usually really good. Like, I know it seems pretty straightforward that you want to have the same huddle at the same time every day, but some people aren't necessarily morning brain functioning at full throttle. Some people function better at 2 p.m. Some people function better, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I would switch it up every once in a while too. That usually seems to help with a lot of that, but it's an opportunity for the CISO to really listen and learn from the teams as a whole, and give them all the opportunity to share, their insights. Because sometimes it's not just one team. Sometimes they're responsible for a couple of different. If you're getting to the larger, right? I usually talk to larger enterprise, so there's several teams focused on different things. There'll be, these are our internal pen testers, and these are our network infrastructure guys, and these are girls, and these are, the analysts and cybersecurity minded, and these are the tool watchers, and they all have different things, and bringing them together every day to give them room to, one, get to know each other, right? And then also hear the perspectives from team to team really seems to help keep those negatives that happen whenever the teams are siloed from each other, right? The blame game or the who's responsible game. That way, when the dumpster catches on fire, we're not all going, well, I didn't do it, right? And then you can actually move forward and get to work, because those relationships and the way that they communicate with each other are going to be set by their leader, and that's the CISO in a lot of cases.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one of the things that I found pretty recently is I've got a great team, and I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish with very few resources and, with very few staff. But the one thing that really made me proud, and I don't think they're watching, so they're not going to get this, so please don't tell them I said this. They very actively try to take things off my plate.
I love your team.
That they are a great team, and they really try to say, "Hey, Jonathan, I can do that." And it's hard for me, not necessarily to give it up, but to think about, hey, yeah, I can get a perfect example. I told you I worked really hard this weekend, or we had an issue and I was coming in. a month ago, we had a floor outage where our entire data center floor went down hard. And so I immediately went into incident response mode. I came in and, all right, let's get this up. Let's get this turned on. Let's do it the right way. And my staff came to me the next week and was like, hey, why didn't you call us? It hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, I honestly didn't think about it because this wasn't a security issue. This was a whole IT big problem. And I just immediately went into that mode, and I need to do better on that. And it's like, okay, you're right. So this weekend we had a different issue. And I sent it out to my subs, hey guys, I could use some I need help. I need hands. And they were right there, immediately. It was all right, I'm on my way. And they came in, we got it fixed, we got things up, everything was great. But as a CISO, sometimes it can be really hard to really say, hey, I can't do this by myself. Can you guys help me? And I think that's it. And that's hard for people to realize that. It's the truth. I personally can't do everything. I try, I'd like to, but I can't. So I have to rely on people to help me. And it goes back to people. Yeah. I think both of you have seen that. I think both of you have seen that from me, that I will just do it. And I really need to, and I've got great people. I use them as much as I can now.
It's really empowering for the people on your teams to feel needed and to be trusted with requests that may be just a little outside of what their normal scope is. It will change the way that your team not only views their relationship to you as a leader, but also change the way that they interact with each other. If they see that their leader is confident and comfortable asking for assistance on something for whatever reason, they will also feel more confident and comfortable reaching out to each other. And then suddenly you get to be Pedro sitting on a beach drinking Mai Tais.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that if I can get, and I think everyone would agree, if we can get everyone in the audience to take away that one thing, bring in people, train them, trust them, let them grow. Oh my God, what could we do? What could we do as an industry? What could we do as the community of cybersecurity professionals? I personally, especially with our group at ISSA, I would love to have 50 brand new CISOs at the end of this program, or at the end of this mentorship program I'm running, because I want them all to be comfortable stepping into that role and go, I know how to do that. I know how to get this done, how to talk to a board, how to talk to legal, how to do this. And I know I can do this and have that confidence. Because I'll tell you, when I took over CISO, I didn't have any of that. I was just winging it. I mean, this was years and years ago when CISOs were a new thing. It's a great opportunity for people to learn and grow. And I think that's an opportunity for us and as an organization to have people in our employ and grow them up to better cybersecurity professionals.
I agree. Hey, that program, you're going to have to toss a link at people. You've got a few asking about how they can participate.
Oh, on that mentorship program?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Catch me on LinkedIn. I've got, make sure you guys communicate with me on LinkedIn. I'll tell you about it. ISSA members. I'm chapter president. I took over from Pedro. He used to be my president for ISSA, and he stepped and went and got on a beach, and he says, okay, Jonathan, here, you take the reins for a little while. So, but that's the sort of thing that as a community, I mean, I learned it from him, and I learned it from Rachel too, actually. She's my mentor. I think I said that in a thing a few weeks ago.
I'm going to have it framed on my wall soon. Don't worry.
But the stuff that we have, the things that we do, it's just to help people. It's to grow people and make things better. So, okay. Let me ask you guys one last question. We're getting up on time, but I think we've got a little bit of time that we can talk about this. When we're talking about cybersecurity skill sets, Is it a trade? Is it something that we do a lot like electrician, a lot like a plumber? I know we kind of touched it earlier, but I think it's an opportunity to really talk about. This is stuff that people don't want to talk about. And I think it's important to talk about. So I want to go around the room, and I'll start with Rachel. Well, I know Pedro. Let's do Pedro since he's got his microphone. Tell me, is it a trade? How should we look at the skill sets?
So it's funny that you say that. We want to think that this is a trade, a job, perhaps, where we grow into, right? But funny enough, when you look at it from the concept of a trade, we are following the same path. Many folks ask me, hey, I want to be a CISO. I want to be able to be that security guy that really goes and talks about with the executive team. And my answer is that there is no school for that. All of that happens after a while. All of that happens after years of experience.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at you and me, that we have been doing this for 25, 30 years now. That's how you end up here. So I truly think that this is more of a trade, but how funny, you and I understand the education side of it.
Yep.
Perhaps the traditional trade doesn't have. So are we creating our own name, our own path in doing this?
Yes, I think we are. I truly do. Rachel, what do you think?
We're a trade, 110%. This is a trade position. Part of the involvement that I have with the East Baton Rouge Parish Career Technical and Education Center is promoting that idea specifically to public school students, because that's exactly what this is. You can pick it up and run alongside it the same way that an electrician assistant starts out, that a carpentry apprenticeship begins, right? Come to it with the want to learn, the passion for what you're going to build, and grab a hold of that mentor, and be able to feed yourself while you're doing it. That's the part that's missing so much, is that right now it seems like a big part of the industry is standing on its own head, because we're charging so much money trying to convince people that the only way in is to take the expensive route, that it's like you have to have some huge, not to knock UT, Jonathan, but that you have to have some huge 4-year degree. Why is there a PhD in cybersecurity? That's intimidating. And why isn't there a PhD for carpenters? I don't understand how we got so off track with it. Maybe it's because the jargon that we use isn't widely known, or something else, because we do speak a different language. We need to get off of InfoSec Island 100%, and make it more available for some of the incoming professionals to take part of it. You hear about, job short, they can't find the people, they can't do this. And write down intern or apprenticeship in your job postings if you are looking to add a few people to your team, right? That's number one. Number two, stop writing down that you are requiring a CISSP for an entry-level position. That's not the same thing. Okay, go buddy up next to some cybersecurity professionals. Find your ISACA, your ISSA, the women in tech groups, all of these things, and go make friends, because they have, like I said, thousands of people sitting down in Slack channels, Discord, all of these little groups that you don't know anything about, because they're sharing job leads with each other constantly and making fun of the really bad ones. I just want to let you know. Nobody wants to go work for the company that can't even describe the role they need accurately. That speaks volumes about what your company culture is like. That for you to publish that you need help doing something, but you didn't even ask for help to figure out how to word it. I'm not running to come help you.
I have, for many years now, I have helped organizations build job descriptions for new positions and help them especially for cybersecurity, but also for IT. And it's amazing sometimes. I got this job description once where I read it and I knew exactly they had someone that was there for 20 years and they did all these things. And they took his resume and turned that into a job description. And I says, let me ask you, where are you going to find someone with those skill sets? Tell me the career path of someone that started from entry and they've worked them and they've gotten these skill sets. And they looked at me like, we don't have anybody. It's like, exactly, because that's very unique to that one individual. But is that really what you need? That's just replacing someone. The job requirements change almost daily for us. So, I always stay away from the argument of degree versus certifications versus not, because I think it's a moot argument across the board. I will say this. I think anybody who wants to get into cybersecurity, who wants to be a CISO, they can come from any background. They can come in from higher education. They can come in from no education. They can come in from hands-on. They can come in from IT. They can come in from management. They can come in from any of those. Yeah. If they want to do it and they're good at it and they're constantly learning, I think that's the person you want.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't get into that argument anymore because I think it's just a dumb argument to have. I don't want to hear, I'm not going to hire anybody that doesn't have certs, or I'm not going to hire anyone with certs. It's like, I'm going to hire the best person to do the job.
Yeah.
But
team. Yeah.
I'm going to spend the time and the effort to make sure the job and the job description matches what I need that person to do. And I personally am not going to require a CISSP for an entry-level position for 40 grand. It's just, that's not realistic. And those people who are putting those job descriptions out like that, they're having a hard time finding people to do those jobs.
I wonder why.
Exactly. Now, I'm not knocking them, and I want to help them. As the cybersecurity industry, let's do something to help them get better with that. So think about it. If we could change the world, how would we do it? For me, it's helping people get better at growing in cybersecurity. That's what I enjoy doing. I want to protect my organization. I do that every day, but I have to think about the future. Who's going to protect it after me? I want to help bring up those people that have good skill sets that when they come in after me, they can pick up all the pieces I'm doing and then do it better than me. Yeah. I think that's what we should all want. So I think we're getting up on time. I think we have maybe 1 minute left. So final statement. What would you like to say, Pedro, real quick?
So what I would say is, those of you that want to really get into CISO, start small, starts now, starts with anything that you have. Don't wait until you have all the certs. That's not how it works. You're probably displaying some leadership abilities exactly where you are. So use that to your advantage.
Yep, that's great. Rachel, real quick, what would you like to tell everyone?
First person that has to believe that you're a leader for you to be a leader is you.
Yep.
That's my thought.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This was so much fun. I appreciate it. I hope the audience loved it. We had a good time talking. We always do. So I think Kim will be back here in just a second to do some parting words. But thank you, everybody. Thank you for the questions. If you guys have any other questions for us, reach out to any of us on LinkedIn. We're available. We'd love to talk with you. And with that, I think I'll pass it back to